Playing Raze at a high level is more than just blast pack launching yourself around the map. Raze provides her team with multiple ways to clear angles and parts of the map where enemies might be hiding safely. But if you spend most of your time trying to launch yourself at the enemy like you've seen your favorite YouTuber do in hand-selected clips, then you are in for a rude awakening. Raze can be an insanely effective agent to play in solo queue if the rest of your team has any other utility you might need, such as smokes and flashes. Solo queue has been quite the roller coaster of emotions lately. As you may or may not already know, I'm on my journey to reach Radiant by only solo queuing, and at the time of this recording, we are Diamond 1, up from Plat last week and down from Immortal a couple days ago. Solo queuing at higher ranks puts me up against a lot of 4 or 5 stacks, and it can be incredibly difficult to overcome that amount of organization with a bunch of randoms. But if your team has smokes, flashes, a sage, and you get the chance to pick any agent you want, Raze is the best for eating teams apart, whether or not they are 5 stacked. If you use her utility correctly, you may not be getting kills with it every time, but you will be doing enough damage that it will significantly help your team in the round. Most games where I'm playing Raze, I finish with upwards of 10 to 15 assists, sometimes more, and you can too. Let's take a look at how you can be playing Raze as effectively as possible at a high level. I'm Hootie with Level Up Gaming. I stream every Monday and Wednesday at twitch.tv/BrianHootie and every Thursday right here on the YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. Let's talk about offense and how you're playing Raze on offense. The other day, I had a teammate playing Raze on Ascent, and every round he would use his blast packs and go flying into some part of the map. This only worked out for him a couple of times. Every other time he would die while doing little to no damage and complaining that we weren't there to trade his death. Don't be that guy. I know there are a few YouTubers and streamers who are very skilled players pulling this off quite often. But unless you know you have the game sense and mechanical skill to back it up, it probably isn't worth the risk 9 out of 10 times. So what should you do then? That's a good question. I've got your answers. First off, I'm going to start off with a little pro tip here, just a little side note actually. And I know a lot of you probably already know this and are doing it actively, but for those of you that aren't, if there's a Cypher on the other team, figure out where he's playing and clear his trap wires out with your blast packs, your boom bot, or your nade, or by shooting them if you can, I guess. Whether or not your team is planning on pushing that part of the map, you now have the enemy team a little less comfortable and with less stalling utility. This helps because oftentimes the Cypher will set up his utility and then go play somewhere else off site. If he has to come back and actually defend the site, that weakens up the rest of the map for your team to actually make something happen. You should probably be playing Raze on offense, as I like to call it, an aggressive entry support. If there is a Reyna, a Phoenix, or a Breach, then they should probably be the one entrying, but you should be close behind them. Use your utility to give them the upper hand in the battle. Throw your boom bot, throw your nades to clear those angles that they can't check. Do what you need to do to support them on entering, and then be the man right behind them ready to trade those kills and continue entering if they die. Raze is at a disadvantage when it comes to entry fragging from a traditional perspective, where Breach, Phoenix, and Reyna all have disorienting or blinding abilities. Raze only has her boom bot really. The best way to entry, in my opinion, is to use your boom bot as bait. This is going to be way less effective when you are entering into big open bomb sites where multiple people will be holding from multiple angles. But if you're going into showers on bind, for instance, send your boom bot in and follow close behind it. The enemy will have to choose, shoot you or the bot. Either way, if you hit at least one bullet on them, they're going to die. What Raze is really good at is using her grenades, her blast packs, and boom bot to displace enemies as the team pushes, or just before the team is going to push. Throwing all of your explosives at U-Haul as your team pushes A short on bind, for example, will make it so that your team doesn't really have to worry about watching or checking U-Haul for the time being. Or throwing a nade into the pesky cubby area to see if Omen actually teleported or faked it without having to risk your life is extremely beneficial, and that's offense. I know that sounds pretty straightforward, and most of you are probably like, wow, I'm pretty much already doing that. Okay, well, that's great, but I see a lot of Raze players, even up at the Diamond Immortal ranks, that are selfishly using all of their utility or throwing it all at the very beginning at nothing and not having anything when they need to help their team entry onto a bomb site. But that's offense. So what about defense? On defense, as Raze, you need to be playing to your strengths. You don't have smokes, you don't have flashes. Contesting mid on pretty much any map or peeking angles where there could be 2 or more enemies is not your strength as Raze, unless you have support or you use your boom bot and get really lucky. Raze is best on defense when she pairs up with another agent that has some sort of smoke or stall utility ability, like Sage's Ice Wall. You should be saving your utility for that moment when you know the enemy is going to be pushing, and then using it to inflict as much damage as you possibly can. If your Sage has walled something off and you know they're breaking through and rushing in, throw your nade in there, or if you know someone might be in a smoke, hit them with a blast pack. You'd be surprised how much damage it can do. Raze has insane damage potential, as I've already said, and insane potential to stop a push dead in its tracks. So you should be making sure that you're taking advantage of her utility properly. Throwing a boom bot out at the very beginning of the round on defense or a nade likely isn't going to net you much. They're going to hear it coming, they're going to see it coming, they're going to leave. Maybe a small piece of intel will be gained, but that intel is useless 5 seconds later when the enemy repositions. I see too many Raze players using a bunch of their utility right as the round starts, throwing down that boom bot, and then have nothing to stop the enemy when they start pushing. This is the wrong way to play Raze in my opinion. Unless, of course, you're pushing to take control of mid on a map like Split, where maybe you want to throw out your utility early so that you can gain the advantage of mid control. But even then, if you don't have another agent there to support you with some other abilities, it's going to be rough. Overall, I think we should be seeing more practical use out of Raze's utility throughout the length of a round, rather than throwing it at the very beginning for almost no reward or using it to launch yourself to a position where your team can no longer trade your potential death. You need to save it and use it for things that will actually benefit your team. Our road to Radiant definitely hasn't been a smooth one so far. I was up to Immortal 1 and I had a streak of bad games that let me back down to Diamond 1 and then Platinum and now back up to Diamond. And so we're on our way back up, and we will get to Radiant soon enough. Don't forget to check out my late night streams on Twitch every Monday and Wednesday and sometimes on the weekends. The link is in the description below, and I'll see you in the next one.
One enemy remaining.